Hey guys, in today's video we're going to do a review of this Alpha inverter. This is a 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter. It also has two USB plugins on the inverter. So let's take a closer look. We have Alpha 1500 watt power inverter, converts DC to AC, and we have AC outlet 1500 watt, USB port 4.2 amps. Now I believe that 4.2 amps is going to be in between both of the USBs, so it'll be 2.1 amps per port. Now looking at the back of the unit, we have our two terminal connections here for the DC. I'm not a huge fan of these screw-in type connectors. And also I would have liked to have seen maybe like a piece of plastic or something in between the two, just in case these lugs come loose and turn and connect with each other. Could cause a huge problem. But as long as you tighten these down hard enough, then you shouldn't run into any issues. And looking at the sides, we have this, the whole entire unit is basically acting as a heat sink. And looking at the front of the unit, we can see we have a screen here with volts and amps. We also have another screen here. I believe this is going to be the battery voltage. This is going to be the AC voltage. We have two 15 amp plugins, and then we also have our on off and our USB. But one thing that I have noticed, if I take a regular USB plug here, I can't really seem to be able to plug anything in here. So as you can see here on the USB port, this is probably just a quality control issue, but I can't actually plug anything in. The ports inside of here have been set back too far. I can't actually use the USB ports right now on this inverter. I'm going to take this apart and we'll see if maybe I can pull that forward, but definitely a quality control issue that was missed. This might just be a one-off on this specific inverter. I've seen other reviews where this hasn't been an issue, but for the inverter I got, I can't actually use the USB because the ports are set back too far inside the inverter. Now the size of this inverter is actually pretty good. It's a pretty small, tight design. They packed a lot into this. So just to show you kind of a comparison, this is another popular brand of 1500 watt inverter. So you can see we're almost about the same on the length, but the big difference, so you can see how this one here is a lot taller and the Alpha is just a little bit longer. So they definitely packed a lot into this one. So let's get some batteries and we'll hook this up. Now in order to actually use the entire 1500 watts of power, you are going to need at least two 12 volt 100 amp hour batteries connected in parallel. So you're going to be positive to positive and negative to negative and then run it to the unit. And this is going to allow you to get at least 200 amps of discharge, because each of these batteries can do 100 amps of continuous discharge, which is the amps you're actually going to need to get your full potential of 1500 watts. It's right around 150 to 160 amp draw. So you're going to need to at least have two batteries in parallel. These are two lithium iron phosphate batteries I reviewed in the past, and they will be perfect for this test. I have my batteries hooked up now. Now I just want to mention that if you are running batteries in parallel, so I have positive to positive and then positive to positive terminal, negative to negative and negative to the terminal, what you're actually going to want to do if this is a long-term hookup is this negative here, you're going to want to move to the opposite side and actually run that post down to the battery, just so these batteries can current share a little bit easier. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to hook it up this way, and then if I was to run this permanently, I would crisscross my connections so that it will current share properly when hooked up to the inverter. Okay, now let's turn it on. Now let's plug something into it. So let's go straight away to a heater. So this is a 1500 watt on high heater. So first off, we're going to start with just the fan. And actually, now that we're under load, I want to test the pure sine wave ability of this inverter. Okay, so here we can see that we have 108.4.3 volts. And let's go to the oscilloscope. Okay, so it looks like we have 60 hertz. And that looks like a clean pure sine wave. So that's a pass. So that is a good looking sine wave. Okay, so we've passed that. So this is a pure sine wave inverter. Now let's crank this up. So right now, just with the fan on, we're pulling 1.6 amps. Let's turn some heat on. So right now we're pulling right around 60 amps. Now, I believe that this inverter is going to disconnect as soon as I put this to 1500 watts, because all of the heaters on the market are 1500 watt, and most of your cooktops in your RV or trailer that you're going to use is going to have 1500 watt draw. Now this says 1500 watts. Let's see if it can handle it. Okay, I'm over my amperage. And wow, this is actually taking it. I'm going to hook up another device that I can test how much draw is coming out of this plug. Okay, I have my little homemade metering device here. Okay, so as you can see here, volts, no current, nothing like that. So let's turn on the fan. And let's turn this up. Okay, we're pulling 645, right in around there watts. Let's boost this up. So we're actually pulling just under the 1500 watt. We're only at about 1200. Okay, I'm gonna try a different heater and we're gonna see what happens, because I think my other heater has more of a draw. Okay, now this heater here I know has more closer to 1500 watt. It's gonna be a little bit louder with the fan, so I may not be talking. Okay, I'm gonna try something. Okay, so now we're gonna try a heat gun. See that? Okay, ready? Now this is just the fan. Now this is the first heat setting. Wow, 800. Okay, now let's go to the hottest. Okay, we are actually over 1500 watts right now. We're almost at 1600 watts. And this inverter is taking it. So we're actually above the rated capacity of this inverter right now. Wow. I'm gonna leave this run, see how long it can run for. Okay, that actually took it. I'm actually quite surprised. Okay, so that was over the 1500. Now, my cable on my tester here isn't the thickest, but I want to try plugging something else in here because I know the heat gun is over 1600. So I'm going to plug that heater into the second outlet here because I want to trip this inverter. Okay, so I've got the inverter on medium. Now let's try the heat gun. Full blast. And there we go. Oh, and it's on. Okay. And we have tripped it. So we'll turn it off. Turn it back on. And we have power again. So it won't run a space heater on medium and a heat gun, but 1600 watts when it's 1500 watts rated, that's actually really impressive. I was kind of expecting this to fail that. Okay, let's open this unit up and see what the issue is with the USB here. So it looks to me like there's just some Phillips screws around the outside here. Now you need to be super careful. I would not suggest taking these apart. These units here can actually potentially hold a charge in the capacitors, so you don't want to take these apart. Like I said in another one of my videos, leave it to crazy people like me. Okay, I have all the screws removed. Let's take a look inside. Okay, now let's just probe around here with a little probe. Okay, so it looks to me like this whole board here can move back and forth. So I think all it was when they screwed it together, the board wasn't all the way forward. So I can actually put these screws back in. Okay, I've put these lower screws back in because I didn't realize this is an upper shell. So now it's a little bit easier to move around. Now one thing I've noticed is the board that's holding all these electronics is actually loose in here. So it's not actually affixed. And what is happening is this here, which is used, I believe, to monitor the current that is running through the AC wires out to the plug. But if I move this out of the way, I'm still hitting. Oh, and here's another. So I'm not sure if I can pick this up on the camera. Let's get some light in here. There's a negative wire from the negative terminal that runs up to the back of this board here that isn't long enough to pull this forward. And there's actually a bend in it backwards too. So yeah, I can't get this up far enough to actually plug into the USB here. I can semi get in there now. So I think just during the manufacturing process on the negative lug, it's bent, so it's preventing this from coming forward. It's been kind of bent back. One more thing dislike that I have about this is they're using a couple of really small fans in here. This is good for cooling, but the noise that comes out of these two little fans is like a high-pitched squealing kind of. So I'm not too happy about these fans. Small compact design, you know, you're gonna have your takeaways. So the Alpha 1500 watt inverter, I'm gonna say it's a pass. I like it because I had 1600 watts and it held, and it ran that heat gun like nothing. So I definitely like that it was able to achieve higher than rated watts. But one thing I don't like is that the USB is not usable on this specific one. You may get lucky and may not have an issue with that. I have seen other reviews where people haven't had issues with the USB, but for me, looks like the negative wire got bent and this whole entire board is pushed back than where it should be. So other than that, I mean, I do like this inverter just because it was able to handle, and I think the USB plug-in here, I mean, if you mount this underneath a cabinet or something, you're not going to open the door, leave it open, and run a USB wire out if you're using it in an RV setting. If this is something, I mean, if you get the product, you can always return it and buy another one if there is an issue with the USB. Let me know if you own this inverter and you've had this issue with the USB. It'd be interesting to see how many people out there have this issue. But all in all, I like it. I actually, going into this video, I wanted to disprove the quality of this inverter. I really tried. I hooked up some heavy loads to it, but I wasn't able to actually disprove it. So pretty happy. Anyways, I'll leave links in the description below, and thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, I think I might have fixed it. Ah, there we go. I fixed it. Something to mention here quick. I did fix the USB, but I was about to put this back together and I was just looking at this. So you could actually have this lid reversible, which is kind of neat. So if you, let's say, have it like this way and you mount it on your wall, I mean, that looks kind of ugly having the name brand upside down. So you could take this lid off very carefully with no batteries connected and spin this lid around and place it back on and have it in the orientation you would like in order to show it off. So yeah, thought that was kind of neat.